The most difficult thing on the path of truth is that a person becomes lonely. These words of Hazrat Ali are not just a statement. They are a deep reflection of the reality that every seeker of truth faces at some point in life. The path of truth has always been narrow. It is not crowded. It is not noisy. It is not filled with the applause of people. It is a silent path. A road that demands courage, patience, and faith. It is a journey that requires a person to walk sometimes in complete isolation. When Hazrat Ali said these words, he was not only describing a feeling. He was describing an experience. The experience of every sincere heart that chooses truth over comfort. When a person decides to stand with truth, he must prepare himself to stand alone. Because the world is not kind to those who refuse to lie. The world celebrates those who go with the flow, not those who question it. And that is why truth often becomes a heavy burden on the shoulders of the honest. To walk on the path of truth is to walk against the current. It means saying no when everyone else says yes. It means staying silent when everyone else is shouting. It means trusting Allah when everyone else doubts. It means being content with being misunderstood. Because truth is not about popularity. It is about sincerity. It is about inner peace, not outer praise. The loneliness that comes with truth is not an ordinary loneliness. It is not the emptiness of being abandoned by people. It is the space that Allah creates between you and falsehood. When you step towards truth, the world steps away from you. Friends may turn into strangers. Family may begin to doubt you. Society may start calling you strange. But in that moment you must remember that Hazrat Ali already told us that this is the most difficult part. The loneliness is not a punishment. It is a test. It is a purification. When a person chooses truth over lies, he becomes free from the chains of hypocrisy. But that freedom often costs companionship. The people who once smiled with you may no longer recognize you. Because truth changes the heart, and when the heart changes, the world around it begins to react. Many cannot handle a person who speaks the truth because it mirrors their own falsehood. That is why those who walk with truth must learn to be content with the company of Allah alone. In the silence of loneliness there is a hidden blessing. It is in that silence that the voice of the soul becomes clearer. When you are left alone for choosing truth, you begin to see who truly stands with you. You realize that loyalty in this world is temporary and faithfulness belongs only to Allah. The path of truth removes illusions. It breaks false friendships and weak attachments. It takes away the comfort of numbers and gives the comfort of faith. Hazrat Ali faced this reality throughout his life. He stood for truth even when others abandoned him. He defended justice when silence could have brought peace. He remained steadfast even when power was taken away from him. The world around him changed. People who once promised loyalty turned their backs. Yet he continued walking the path of truth because his heart was with Allah. His loneliness was not a weakness. It was a sign of his spiritual strength. To follow the truth means to accept pain. It means to accept that you may not be liked by everyone. That you may be criticized by those you love. That your honesty may cost you opportunities. That your sincerity may make you look naive. But remember this. The price of truth is high because its reward is eternal. The temporary pain of loneliness is far lighter than the eternal regret of falsehood. When you stand for truth, Allah stands with you even if the entire world stands against you. There comes a time in every honest person's life when he feels completely alone. He looks around and sees no one who understands him. He feels like the world has become blind. His heart becomes heavy and his mind begins to question if he made the right choice. In that moment he must remember that every prophet, every saint, every truthful soul went through the same storm. Loneliness was their companion. Silence was their friend. Tears were their language. But above all, faith was their light. Truth has always been a path walked by the few. In every generation only a handful dared to speak it. Because truth threatens false power. It exposes hypocrisy. It challenges injustice. It shakes the comfort of those who live in illusion. That is why the truthful are often mocked, isolated, or even attacked. But their legacy always outlives their pain. The lies of their enemies fade away, but their truth remains like the light of a candle that refuses to die. Loneliness on the path of truth is not permanent. It is a stage of purification. Allah removes the wrong people from your life so He can bring you closer to Himself. When the world leaves you for being truthful, it is actually giving you space to connect with the divine. When no one listens to your truth, Allah listens. When no one stands beside you, the angels stand beside you. And when you cry in your solitude, Allah smiles upon you with mercy. Because He knows the cost of your choice. He knows what it took for you to remain truthful. Many people think truth is about words. But truth is also about living with integrity. It is about being the same in darkness as you are in light. It is about not betraying yourself even when others betray you. It is about staying pure when the world around you becomes polluted. That is why the path of truth feels lonely. Because few are willing to carry that weight. But those who do are guided by Allah Himself. There are moments when the loneliness becomes unbearable. You wish to give up. You wish to blend in again. You wish to stop feeling different. But then you remember that false peace is worse than true pain. To pretend to be what you are not is to die inside. To stay truthful even when you are alone is to live with dignity. That is why Hazrat Ali reminded us that this is the hardest part of truth. Because once you endure loneliness, you begin to taste the sweetness of sincerity. The true companionship of the truthful is not among people but among the righteous souls of the unseen. When a person walks on the path of truth, his heart begins to connect with the spirits of those who walked before him. The prophets, the imams, the saints, they all walked this same lonely road. Their prayers, their patience, their tears, they echo in the heart of every seeker who continues their journey. In the silence of the night their whispers reach the heart of the truthful, reminding him that he is not alone. Every drop of tear that falls from the eyes of a truthful person is recorded by Allah. Every sigh of pain, every moment of isolation, every time his honesty costs him something, Allah witnesses it all. And He promises that the end of truth is victory. Not worldly victory but spiritual elevation. The kind of victory that gives peace in this life and honor in the next. That is why those who endure loneliness for truth are never losers. They are the chosen ones whom Allah Himself has purified. The world measures success by numbers. But Allah measures it by sincerity. You may be one person standing alone for truth, but in the eyes of Allah you are greater than a crowd that stands for falsehood. When you speak truth with a trembling voice, you are stronger than the arrogant who shout lies. When you stay silent to protect peace, you are wiser than the proud who argue to prove themselves right. That is the beauty of truth. It refines the heart and humbles the soul. Sometimes you will be surrounded by people yet feel completely alone because no one shares your values. You will sit among them but your heart will feel distant. You will listen to their words but they will sound hollow. That feeling of being disconnected is not sadness. It is a sign that your soul is awakening. The more you walk towards truth, the more sensitive your heart becomes. The falsehood that once felt normal now begins to hurt. The lies that once sounded sweet now feel bitter. This transformation is painful but it is also sacred. Hazrat Ali's wisdom is timeless because it speaks directly to the soul. He knew that every believer would one day face the choice between comfort and conscience. Between belonging and believing. Between being accepted and being true. And He gave us the courage to choose truth even when it meant walking alone. Because in the end only those who walk alone with Allah find the peace that the crowd can never give. When you walk alone for truth, you are never truly alone. You are walking with the light of Allah. Every step you take is guided. Every tear you shed is counted. Every pain you feel is compensated. The loneliness you face today will one day become your strength. The rejection you face will become your protection. The silence that surrounds you will become your source of clarity. Because truth transforms pain into wisdom and loneliness into connection with Allah. Do not fear loneliness. Fear losing your truth. Because people can leave and return, but once truth leaves your heart it rarely returns. Protect your truth even if it costs you everything. Because what you lose for Allah He replaces with something better. When you lose the company of people for the sake of truth, Allah gives you the company of peace. When you lose worldly comfort for the sake of truth, He gives you spiritual joy. When you lose the support of the world, He gives you His unseen help. The path of truth is not easy but it is worth it. Every tear you shed, every sleepless night, every misunderstood action will one day make sense. You will look back and realize that your loneliness was actually Allah's way of bringing you closer to Him. You will understand that every rejection was a redirection. Every silence was a message. Every separation was protection. Because the path of truth is not about reaching people. It is about reaching Allah. So when you feel alone, remember Hazrat Ali's words. Remember that the loneliness you feel is not the end. It is the beginning of a deeper journey. A journey where your only companion is Allah. Where your only strength is faith. Where your only desire is truth. And when you reach that stage you will realize that you never needed the crowd. You only needed the Creator. Because in His company there is no loneliness. In His remembrance there is no emptiness. In His love there is eternal peace. The most difficult thing on the path of truth is that a person becomes lonely. But in that loneliness he finds himself. He finds his purpose. He finds Allah. And when he finds Allah he realizes that he was never alone to begin with.